Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda and Barker Kia.
Hi everybody, welcome to Bayou Time Sports. Time to preview week 5 of the high school football season. We hope that you can get out to a game and support your favorite high school, or go out and support the bands, the dancers, the cheerleaders. They certainly deserve it, as all these kids are doing something positive. Let's take a look at the lineup for Friday night. Most of these games are on Friday night. Earlier in the year, we had some Thursday games, but now it's starting to even out just a little bit. Some big ones. South Lafourche and E.D. White in District 8 4A. That's a huge one. E.D. White's sort of getting things together, and so is South Lafourche. They're on a roll a little bit. Central Catholic of Morgan City is going to be at Central Lafourche. Central Lafourche hoping for a little payback in that one. St. John of Plaquemine is going to be at Nichols to take on Covenant Christian. Again, Covenant Christian plays their games at home there. That is a non-district game. And then in District 8-5A, we have some big ones. Hornville going to be in town to take on H.L. Bourgeois. That's going to be at Tom B. Smith, which means that next game you see Destrehan and Terrebonne actually not going to be in Houma. That is going to be at Destrehan at Wildcat Stadium. And that's going to be huge. I mean, obviously, those two teams seem to be the front runners in District 8-5A at this time. East St. John at Thibodaux. Thibodaux has an excellent chance to go 5-0 to start the year under Coach Lowell Northeast. That would be a heck of a turnaround for the Thibodaux Tigers. In a big rival game, Ellender taking on South Terrebonne. South Terrebonne hoping to pile up some wins to get some power points to get into the playoffs. And then another big one, Lutcher at Vanderbilt Catholic. That's going to be a huge one. And remember, they're retiring Elijah McGuire's jersey at that game. HTV will have cameras at that Lutcher at Vanderbilt Catholic game. And they'll also have cameras at the Ellender at South Terrebonne game. Houma Christian trying to get to winning again after winning their opener. They'll be taking on a pretty tough Ascension Christian team. Morgan City going to be at Assumption. At one time, I would have told you that wouldn't be a good game, but I'm not so sure now. That might be an interesting game. Thrive Academy going to be at Berwick. I got to tell you, folks, I don't even know what Thrive Academy is at. And then Patterson trying to get their first win of the year. That'll be a rival game. They'll be taking on Franklin in Franklin. So there is your slate. A real quick look at PowerPoint rankings, because I always thought in week 5 is when you really start to look at PowerPoints. But I think now we're going to see some teams that are not going to get knocked out, and we're going to see some teams that are going to have to work their way in. And here we go. In Division I non-select, you have Terrebonne sitting pretty at number 2. I don't think listen, obviously Coach Lewis is not going to want to lose the rest of his games, but I don't think Terrebonne could get knocked out of the top 28 even if they lost the rest, because they're going to get so many points from Destrehan and Hornville and those teams. They play Thibodaux along the way. South Lafourche sitting pretty right now at number 8. Of course, they got the meat of their schedule coming up with the Lutchers and the E.D. Whites and the Vanderbilt Catholics. Thibodaux is sitting at number 13. They're in good shape. Hornville dropped a lot, but remember, Hornville's first 2 opponents just don't have any wins. And then Destrehan is sitting at number 24. Of course, Destrehan plays a tough schedule, but they lost some of those opening games. The 3 teams in that district that are on the outside looking in right now: Central Lafourche, H.L. Bourgeois, and East St. John. East St. John's going to have a tough time getting into the top 28. Don't even know if it's possible. H.L. Bourgeois, I think you're going to see creep up, because they have some wins, and if they could get wins over teams in their same classification like East St. John and Central Lafourche, I think they can move up. Obviously, if they beat Hornville this week, they can really move up. Central Lafourche is started at border team. They cannot lose to Central Catholic of Morgan City this week. You lose to Central Catholic, I think you are going to have a tough time getting into that top 28. No, it's early, but it's still going to be tough for sure. Let's look at Division II non-select. In Division II non-select, South Terrebonne sitting at number 6. They actually have dropped after that loss to South Lafourche. Lutcher's moving on up. Lutcher actually was in the 20s. Now they're at number 11 after winning their last couple of ball games, because remember, they started off with 2 losses. Morgan City is falling like a rock. They are at number 21. They were actually very high after the opening week against Berwick. but they've struggled since. The two teams that are on the outside looking in are Assumption and Ellender. Assumption is sitting at number 29, Ellender at number 32. They got to string some wins together soon. Let's go to the next board, which is Division II Select. And Vanderbilt Catholic, who was sitting pretty, actually dropped after a win. And the reason they dropped is because they played Morgan City, who just didn't give them a whole lot of points. Loyola and Madison Prep pull ahead of them. E.D. White actually drops a little bit too. That's hard to, for some people to fathom. They were 0-3 and they were sitting there in the top 10, and then they win this past week, but they get nothing from Ellender in the win column. Let's move on to our next bracket in Division III. Unfortunately, Houma Christian is on the outside looking in the select division. They're at number 33. They're going to have to get some wins together. And finally, in Division IV, Covenant Christian in good shape at number 4. Central Catholic, boy, they could get a big win over Central Lafourche. They would move up handily, and Hanson sneaks in. So there is a look at all of the teams in our area, where they stand related to PowerPoint rankings, and who plays who. Go out and take a game on this Friday night. Got to take a break. We'll be back after this timeout.
This segment was brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda and Barker Kia.